Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Here we are going to continue our labs that we started for AZ303 Microsoft Azure Architect Technologies exam, where we are really reviewing high availability options for IaaS type resources within Azure. Okay, so if you look at this, we have already looked at the availability sets and we deployed that behind Azure Load Balancer Basic to give you high availability. Then we used the availability zones. We used the Azure VMs, placed them in different availability zones, and we placed them behind an Azure load balancer. So from a data center standpoint, we went to a regional availability. Okay, and then we also looked at the zone redundant deployment of Azure VM Scale Sets behind an Azure Application Gateway. Okay, this was the third lab that we completed, and in this lab what we are going to do, we are going to look at the automatic horizontal scaling of Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set, and in the following video that I'll do, we'll look at the manual vertical scaling that you can have for your Azure VM Scale Set. So let's get started with this automatic horizontal scaling. So I'm going to go back to this particular web page, and I'm going to give you this link in my video. So let's open up a notepad again, just start storing the information that I'm going to share with you. Okay, that's the lab that we're doing this lab today, and just copy this one. Okay, and in these labs the only thing that that's a little easy, because we are not deploying every single resources by hand. So far they have given us ARM template, so all the everything that you need to configure is already pre-configured. We were kind of reviewing our deployment after it's done using the Azure template. So let's see what do we have for this one. So we have really few tasks here. We gotta configure the auto scaling of the Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set. So uh, let's see. In the Azure, navigate to this braid and select the VMS Virtual Machine Scale Set entry. Select scaling. Okay, so we need to do this particular lab right over here. So what I think I did, I completed the section 3 and deleted this portion of it. So I'm going to quickly deploy this ARM template one more time, and as soon as the deployment is done, we'll start working on this lab. So just give me 1 second. Let me deploy that. Alright, and if you want to watch the deployment process, so all we did, uh, we first ran this particular command to get to our to create a resource group. So just go to portal.azure.com, and let's see if I'm logged in or not. Yes, I am in. I'm going to go to my CLI window, and once I'm here, I have the command from tableau level. I'm going to go to resource group, verify that I don't have that particular resource group with me, and I don't, so I deleted that one. So paste, and it's started deployment of the resource group, and the resource group should be shown up in a minute as AZ30301C lab RG, and this resource group is really configuring the the infrastructure that we need. So this is really I'm doing right now. It's deploying a highly available Azure VM Scale Set into availability zones behind an application gateway by using Azure Resource Manager. So first is creating the resource group, and once that's done, we will run this particular command. Everything is already available in my local environment, CLI environment, because I've already uploaded, so I'm not uploading any files in this particular lab. But if you want to see a little bit more detail, please go to the previous lab. Okay, so let's come back over here. This is now done, so if I click refresh, here is my resource group. So now I'm ready to run this command, and there we go. So it's now running, so it will create everything that we need to do in this lab. So again, if you click on this one and monitor, just keep refreshing, you will see that the things will start getting deployed here pretty soon. So let's keep refreshing a couple more times. Let's see if there's anything showed up. Yeah, it's showing up. So you see the application gateway, the public IP address, okay. Then the virtual network got deployed. The web NSG, network security group, got deployed. So if you click refresh some more, you will see the application gateway itself is now got deployed. And I'm expecting a virtual machine scale set, and that one should be available in few minutes as well. Okay, so let's click, and you can look at the status of your deployment from here. Once the deployment is done, usually you get something like provisioning state succeeded, some message that kind of tells you that yeah, it's your command is successful. Sometimes it just gives you the command prompt back, and if you don't see any errors, it usually means that it's successful. So it kind of depends on how you have defined your ARM template and how you wrote it. So let's come back over here. Let's review. If I see my VMSS, it looks like the storage account is created, and I still don't see a VMSS. You can go and take a look inside this application gateway. Look at the backend pool. Here's my backend pool. Backend pool is nicely defined. A backend target is still 0 items, so there is nothing in the backend pool right now. So let's go back to the resource group. Let's look into that, and I'm just gonna, it's coming up right now. All right, so it's still not there, so I'm gonna wait one more minute, okay, and hopefully I'll have the resources that I need available over here. So it's running, so I'm gonna pause just a second. As soon as this resource is deployed, I'm not going to do anything else in this one because we have kind of looked at it already using the network watchable. We looked at the topology. We may look at the topology one more time, and then quickly we will come and configure the auto scaling of the Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set. So give me 1 second. Okay, everyone, looks like the deployment is now done. Again, as I said, if you look at the provisioning state, it says succeeded. So if I come over here now, I can even minimize this, and now you see my virtual machine scale set is now available. Okay, so really how the way we have designed our high availability is we have deployed this virtual machine scale set. Okay, this we have placed behind an application gateway, and if you look at this virtual machine scale set, there should be at least 2 instances, and those instances are placed in different zones. Like this is in the East US, this is VMSS underscore 0, and if you go to the other one, that has to be in different zone. This is zone 3, so zone 1 and zone 3, so completely different zones. And another thing that's good about deploying using a VMS is that you get up to 5 fault domains. Usually with the availability set that when you deploy within a data center, you can only choose up to 3 fault domains, and again, it could be an exam question, and you can select up to 20 update domains. But with the VMSS, with this deployment method, you have access to 2 more fault domains. That's if you need it, please feel free to use it. So come back over here. So we looked at all these features already. We looked at our fault domain locations, and we ran this particular command to look at how our application gateway is distributing traffic. So all we did, if you want to rerun this command, we already have this command here. We just need to get the IP address of our application gateway. So you want your traffic to come and hit the application gateway, and you do not want your traffic to get to your resources directly or the VMs directly. So just get the IP address from here, just copy this one and just paste it over here. Let's see, that should be a new IP. Yeah, I got the new IP. Just copy this one, put it over here, and what should happen that you should be able to see with this simple curl command how this traffic is being distributed between the 2 instances of a virtual machine that are a part of the virtual machine scale set. So let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's see if I have my command prompt available here somewhere. I don't see it here. So sometimes if it happens, just close this one, just reopen this one, and it should give you the command prompt back. So just paste it, and if I hit enter, what you're looking at here, the first request, they went to the first instance, okay, 30301C, and the other two went to the other instance, which is 02. Okay, so that's how it's distributing the traffic and balancing the load. Now, what we really want to do in this lab is focus on this, implementing auto scaling of Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set using Availability Zone and Azure Application Gateway. So what we need to do, we need to go to the VM scale set, and once we are there, we're going to look at the scaling, and we're gonna do a custom auto scale on it. Now custom auto scale is very similar even with other features, other resources where the custom auto scale is available to you. Okay, like once you learn this, you can use the same principle to maybe web apps, okay, where you have the custom auto scale also available. So let's start there. So let's go to our scaling blade. So come back over here. We are in the application gateway, so I'm going to close this one, and there should be a scaling. Sometimes if you have trouble finding this, you can also just search for it and nothing showed up. So let's go up over here, see where do we have the scaling option in here. So let's come over here, VMSS scale bed, scaling bed. Am I in the VMSS? No, the application gateway. So that's why you do not have the scale set. So VMSS is where you need to configure your scaling, and right there is your scaling. Okay, so now the manual auto scale is when you deploy. If you do not do anything custom, it is automatically selected. But this time we want to customize our auto scale option. Okay, the auto scale is a built-in feature that helps applications perform their best when demand changes. You can choose a scale your resource manually to a specific resource instance count, or via custom autoscale policy that scales based on metrics, thresholds, schedule instance count with scales during designated windows. So you can do actually a lot of things with the custom autoscale configuration. Okay, so let's see how the lab is asking you to configure. Scaling mode, scale based on metric. So let's see if I have that selected. Scaling mode, scale based on metric, that is selected, which we want. So within this, okay, you are going to define some rules. Now default auto created scale condition, you can change this default name if you like. Let's say they didn't say anything, so I'm just not going to worry about it. But the instance limit minimum is 1, maximum is 3, and limit default is 1. So let's do that. So minimum is 1, maximum we can go up to 3, default is 1. Okay, this scale condition is executed when none of the other scale conditions match. So that is something that you gotta have. Okay, the one thing that I see it's not defined is no metric rules defined. They're saying, hey, click the hyperlink, add a rule to scale out and scale in your instances based on rules. Now, if you think properly, when I typically configure my auto scale, I do both the scaling up and scaling down in this at the same time. We think about both, and we you typically you'd be adding two rules. One rule when you have a certain metric, when it's exceeding maybe 70% of CPU usage, you want to have three up to three number of instances. But when the demand drops, maybe it drops down to 30, you want to scale it down. So both scale up and down should be considered and defined at the same time. So let's see what the lab is saying. So we have done that and select add a rule, right? On that rule, as I said, you need a rule. So what we are doing, time aggregation maximum. So let's just start configuring. So let's first create a rule, and this gives you this particular window. Current resources, this time aggregation is they're asking us to choose maximum. So let's I don't need this tab, let's close this one. So maximum is what we are going to choose. And if you look at it, this aggregation method used to aggregate the sample matrix. For example, time aggregation average will aggregate the sampled matrix by taking the average. Now this one is going to give you the maximum time aggregation value for you. Okay, so over here metric namespace is virtual machine host. So matrix namespace is already selected, virtual machine host. Metric name is percentage CPU. So let's see, that's what you're using. And we are going to look at VM name operator equals. VM name operator is equal. That looks good. And then dimension value 2 selected. So dimension value here all selected, and we're going to choose these two machines that we want to have this rule to be applied. So that's good. So 2 selected. And then next thing that we're going to do, enable metric divide by instance count, and then we're going to enable that one. Let's see over here, enable metric divided by instance count, enable this one. And here approximate divided metric value, this is coming up by default. If you look at this, if enable the metric value is divided by the total number of instances. Example, if message count is 300 and there are 5 instances, then the calculated metric value is 60, because you're distributing the metric over the number of instances that you have. So 300 divided by 5 is 60, right? So this property may not be applicable for all matrices. So let's come back over here, and we enable that one. Operator is greater than. So here approximate divided matrix says 17.7%. So typically I should it should be 50, but let me see if I can modify this value. 5, no, I cannot modify this value. So you just have to enable this one. Okay, so then operator is greater than, I think that's what we have, greater than, and the metric threshold is 70, is metric threshold to trigger scale action is 1. Okay, so metric action is 1%. Okay, that's pretty low, 1. Okay, so and the duration in minutes in 1. I think this is for the lab, and so lab we really want to show you the feature. I think that's the reason they're asking you to go with 1 and 1. And the duration is 1 minute. Time grain statistics is also maximum. So let's see, time grain statistics, because we are sticking with maximum value, so we're gonna go with this. And increase the count by okay, 1, and cooldown times is what we have to also. So increase count by 1, cooldown time is 5 minutes. So that's all looks good in this one. Instance count 5 minutes. So now we can add this. Okay, this now has become nothing in here. So let's just add it. So basically, so this rule, when this CPU percentage is greater than 1%, then I'm going to increase the count by 1. Okay, these values selected strictly for the lab purposes to trigger scaling as soon as possible. Like really, because we are not doing anything with the virtual machines, and we just wanted to show the features. So what is going to happen once we have the rule? Right now you saw that there are only 2 instances. Once we apply the rule, I would expect that to see 3 machines if there is at least 1% of the CPU usage, right? So let's go back and save this one. And so this one is the rule that we are just configuring for scaling up. And as I said, you should always add a rule for scaling down as well. So let's see what we need to do next. Okay, so come over here. We gotta click another one, add a rule. So over here all of that is good. So here one rule is added. We're going to click on add a rule again, and do you know what we're going to add this time? We're going to add the scaling down rule, right? So here again, this time we're going to use the average virtual machine host. So it's average virtual machine host percentage CPU, and then VM operator is equal to dimension value to selected equal to excuse me, to selected, and enable metric divided by instance count that we have enabled for the other ones, so we're going to enable it for this one as well. And come to the next one. Enabled operator is less than, see, the previous one was greater than, now it's less than 1, and duration is 1. That's a little weird. So this is going to be less than because it's a scaling down metric, so it's 1. If it's less than 1 and less than 1 for 1 minute, and time grain is most likely going to stick to minimum. Okay, this time again this is minimum because we are in a lab, so minimum. And then action, it has to be decreased, right, because it's a scale down, and the cooldown could possibly still be 5. Okay, so that all looks good. So just add this one and kind of read it what we have. And now it says clearly this is the scale out, okay, and this is the scale in. Scale out means you're horizontally, you are increasing the number of resources that you have based on certain conditions, certain metric. And scale in is when you are decreasing, increase and decrease your counts when there is no more demand, right? So again, I'm just gonna hit the save button over here, and now it's time to test the auto scaling of the Azure virtual machine. So what we are going to do, we're going to run this particular command, okay, and this command we're going to use the IP address of the application gateway, okay, and we're just going to send some request. Okay, just copy this one and come over here again. We're going to write down, it's very similar command, and over here, and all it's doing is previously we were only sending 4 requests, now we're just sending probably, you know, just keep sending and sending and sending. Alright, let's just get this one and copy and change here the IP address, and copy this whole thing over here with us now. And before we run it, okay, let's go back over here one more time. Everything is now saved. Go to instances. Now you see you have only one instance running because there is no CPU need. And in our scaling that we have done, we said, hey, if there is no CPU need more than 1%, just drop it down to 1. So now what's going to happen, I'm going to open up my Cloud Shell, and I am gonna send some request to the application gateway, okay, and let's see what happens. Hit enter. So see, it's just continuously it's just sending requests, and it looks like it's a lot of them are going to this particular machine. Okay, so this particular machine, so if you look, okay, first thing is you gotta refresh this just a little. So in this machine, if my CPU usage goes up above 1%, okay, and we set the maximum CPU usage, that rule that we triggered, if it happens over 1 minute, okay, then we are going to see one new machine should be deployed. So this is 1246. So by 1247, a maximum set 1248. If I go back over here within the VMSS, there has to be another machine available to us. You can also keep looking at over here. Let's see, this is, I think it's still sending all the requests. It just keep going. So let's come back over here and refresh this. Still it's we have one. So I'm just going to give it 1 minute just to run, just to go through some more requests, and as soon as I have another instance available, or it's been about 2 minutes, I'll restart the video. Alright, I let it run for a little bit, so now you can see that right now I have 2 virtual machines or 2 instances that are available, and if you look at the command, that is still continuously running. I have 2 and 4 there. Let me stop the command so you can see probably a little bit better. Okay, you see this, it's now all the traffic distributed between the instance 002 and 004. So if I keep this running some more, and if the criteria meets for the scaling out, it will be scaled up. Now since I stop this command, okay, and if I don't do anything, so these will not be getting any request, like nothing will be coming to the application gateway. And if I leave it for another 2 minutes or so, what you expect to see that this number will go down to only one instance count, because that is what we have configured, and one is the default one. So just let's check that one. So we have just tested our scaling up. We have seen that if we keep requesting, if the CPU usage goes up, now we have two. If we keep doing that, it can go up to three, third one. So just for the time, for the sake of time, we are not doing it. If you have time, you can keep doing it if you're doing the lab by yourself. Should the third one should show up. For us, we're going to stop here and let it cool down. The cool down period we set for 5 minutes, so at least your demand has to be low or down below the defined CPU usage limit for at least 5 minutes before the scaling down rule is going to apply, or scaling in. Okay, that's what it's called. So let's pause the video again, let's give it a couple more minutes, and we'll verify the scaling in rule is also working properly. Everyone, so it looks like the scale in rules just got detected. So the VMSS, my custom scale criteria made for scaling in, so one of the instances is now getting deleted at the moment. So if I keep refreshing in a couple more seconds or minutes maybe, this instance will be deleted and we'll end up again having one instance, because right now I do not have a very high demand. Okay, so while this is getting deleted, let's go back to the lab. So that's pretty much all we needed to do. I think I'm gonna go ahead and finish this section of the lab as well, where we're gonna look at the vertical scaling of this virtual machine. Looks like there are a whole bunch of steps. Maybe we'll just do it in the next lab. I'll just split the video. Okay, so we'll just come back over here, verify this is deleted. As soon as this is deleted, yeah, this is done. So that's all I wanted to cover in this video, and let's stop here and let's look at our vertical scaling in the next video. So before we go there, we'll just go back here and bring it back to manual scale and save the configuration of AZ30301C virtual machine scale set. So in this lab, we really looked at how the auto scale within the virtual machine scale set is working. So not only you are using an auto scale in multiple different zones, but you are deploying based on your demand, and you are using a custom auto scale. And custom auto scale, we have used the metric based, and you can do a whole bunch more with the custom auto scale. And I'll probably do another dedicated video where we just look at various properties that you can do with the custom auto scale. But I think you get the picture in this video. So uh, if you like the video, if you then please give me a like and subscribe, leave your comment. If you're preparing for the exam, again, good luck. Please complete the lab on your own and just get as much hands-on experience as possible. And good luck. Thanks for watching.